Hi, welcome back. This is the lesson about the dependent clause. Sa Tagalog, ang umaasa, ang nakasalig, ang nakasandal na te parirala o group of words, no? Pero magkaiba ito sa independent thought because yung independent thought can stand alone. So as you notice, dependent clauses are found everywhere in the sentence and they cannot stand alone in their thought. They are just, again, a product of a thought. Okay? May pinagmulan sila na thought. Yon, tandaan nyo yon. They come from a previous thought. Right? So let's look this morph or form as an example. This sentence through the guiding standard of the school, the curriculum has been designed to meet the workplace standard. So this is a complex sentence because it has pag complex one tandaan one independent, one thought that can stand alone, and dependent clauses. Sometimes isa o dalawa ang mga dependent clauses. Na yung mga dependent clauses, these dependent clauses hail from the independent thought or clause. So the dependent clause is through the guiding standard of this school, this one. Through the guiding standard of this school. Yeah, this one. And then, while the independent is, the curriculum has been designed to meet the workplace standard. This one is the dependent thought or dependent clause. So, pag sinabing clause or thought, I can stand alone sa kanilang thought. Kahit wala na yung through the guiding standard of this school. Alright? So, you may further notice that the dependent clause started the sentence. But you can reverse them or that by saying the curriculum has been designed to meet the workplace standard through the guiding standard of the workplace. So, yung idinugtong na yun ay a dependent clause. Right? So, because English proficiency is a must for everyone to study, say, adopt that number one. The students need to learn to succeed in life. So, notice here this sentence. It is opened by adverbial as an adverbial opener. Okay, so up to where you think this adverbial opener can go to be called the dependent clause. Very good. Because English proficiency is a must for everyone to study, that is the dependent clause. Right? And then followed by independent thought. The students need to learn to succeed in life. That is the independent. Okay? Independent clause. This is the dependent clause. Alright? This one. Alright. Now, you can, of course, reverse the sentence if you want. Say, for example, the students need to learn to succeed in life because English proficiency is a must for everyone to study. Still, you will have the dependent clause. All right. Okay. Yeah. For example, the students need to learn to succeed in life because English proficiency is a must to everyone or for everyone to study. Now, number two, due to the need in the market, the students are focused with their studies. Where is it? Up to where? Very good. This one. It's an adverbial opener. Due to the need in the market. So you have here the independent clause. You have here the dependent clause. Whenever they come to class to study major and minor subjects of their course, they have to undergo this process. Where is it? Up to what? Or up to what word? Yes, up to here. This is the dependent clause. And you have here the independent clause. Again, the technique is for us to understand what is being said. Pag mahina tayo sa comprehension, we will have really a very big problem in determining which one is a dependent clause and an independent clause. So dapat naintindihan natin ang sentence. So we should be able to understand the sentence. Whenever they come to the class to study major and minor subjects of their course. Okay? Is a product of this dependent thought. They have come to undergo this process. This is the independent clause. That is the dependent clause. So, ang dali naman, okay? Very easy to see here that if you detach all of those words, you cut or not include the dependent clause, and you just want to these words here to stay in the sentence, you would notice that it provides a complete thought. They have to undergo this process. While the dependent clause provides a thought that they are coming from a dependent idea already. I mean independent idea already. So because number 4, because they know the standard of working with the best people in the industry, everyone is participating actively in the class. Where is it? Adverbial opener na naman tayo. From here to here. That is your dependent clause. And the independent clause is everyone is participating actively in the class. Through the expertise, number 5, of the lesson, through the teacher's expertise of the subject, the lesson was understood clearly. Okay? This one is your dependent clause. That is the dependent clause. And this is the independent clause. Again, the independent clause can stand alone of its thought, while the dependent clause cannot, because the reader would ask for something else. Say, for example, if you don't include this independent clause and you will just write something like, through the teacher's expertise of the subject, then what? What? Okay? It asks for the completion of its thought. That's the reason why, guys. Okay? So you have here the verb phrase and the subject. Here, uh, you don't find it. Although in some uh, dependent clause or clauses, you'll find a verb and a subject. Still, they can't stand alone in their thought. Number 6, due to the excellence they have showed, they will be rewarded with highest commendation. Okay? Where is it? Yes. Here is your dependent clause. Kasi yung mga adverbial opener nila. And then this one is the dependent clause. Rather independent clause. Yan. Dependent clause and then independent clause. They will be rewarded with highest commendation. Okay, tapos, meaning can stand alone in its idea. Number 7, while this is true to all who finished their skills preparation, a good number of graduates will still have to work hard. Okay, so up to where? Here. Okay, is your dependent clause. The thought is not complete. This is your complete thought. May subject, my verb. Subject. This one? No, this one is the subject. This is your verb. Okay? This one, will have, still is an adverb. Will have is your verb. So this is the independent clause. This is your dependent clause. So you have to analyze that very carefully, guys. Okay, we need to pass this hurdle of grammar. We cannot escape one, because just like a chain, you ignore one, the whole chain will collapse. I mean, the whole building, because grammar is foundational. It starts from the bottom, and then you have the floor to the second, third, fourth, fifth, up to the floors. Okay? So grammar have floorings, have bases. You cannot escape one or skip one and then just go to another floor without understanding the next one. So however difficult or easy it is, you must find ways to really understand the lesson. This one is requiring you to understand the sentence. So if you are in the dependent clause and independent clause, the student of grammar is expected to have the understanding of the sentence, meaning you don't just read it or as a requirement, but also understand what you read. Comprehension ba ang sinasabi? If you can't comprehend what is in the sentence and what is being discussed in the sentence, then you will have very, very hard time with this particular lesson. But if you do understand what you are reading, then this one is going to be easy for you. All right? Number 8, only the best and exceptional students would survive for this kind of training, while a good number of them will not. All right? So, where is the dependent thought? Again, where is it? Because the structure of this sentence is different from the 1 to 7, because in 1 to 7 you have adverbial opener. because, due, whenever, because, through, due. But this one, 7, while this one is different in its structure because it did not open with an adverbial or adverbial word, but open it as a regular sentence. Okay, only the best and exceptional students would survive for this kind of training. All right, where up to where is the dependent thought? Where's the start? This one, up to here. Well, a good number of them will not. This one is the independent clause. Only the best and exceptional students will survive with this kind of training. Well, a good number of them will not. Okay? Kasi nga, if you will just, you leave or not include the independent clause, and you'll just stay with this group of words, the thought is not complete. So this is the dependent clause. So baliktad tayo ngayon. Oops, another one is open with an adverbial because the way to greatness requires excellent character of the school. Okay, included Bibis and Palma's philosophical values. Up to where is the dependent clause? Because the way to greatness requires excellent character. That one is your dependent clause. And this one is your independent clause. The school included Bibis and Palma's philosophical values. Verb, subject. Alright? So, parang madali lang naman. Oo, madali naman. Kasi yung dependent clause always starts with most of the time a noun or an article or articles, like say this one. Okay, this one. Article. Indefinite article, definite article. Okay. And noun, you see that? Article, right? Where else? This one, noun. Okay. And to this one, noun or pronoun, article. All right. So look at those cues in the sentence. Okay, the number 10 is opened again with an adverbial opener word. Although much of these values will come from other sources like religion. Okay, in the cultural and historical heritage are also important. Say, although much of these values will come from other sources like religion. Okay. So your dependent clause is up to here. That is your dependent clause. And notice the article. I was showing you last time or a while ago. Okay, is the start of the independent thought. The cultural and historical heritage are also important. Verb, okay, subject. Tama ba? Hindi. Ito lang ang subject. Okay, the rest, this one is an adjective, connector. All right. Number 11, since becoming a good, we have the adverbial opener again. Since becoming a good marriage or mariner is entirely about an unselfish love for this work, okay, no one should treat the training lightly. Yan, okay. Where is it? Up to where? Yes, up to here. Since becoming a good mariner is entirely about an unselfish love for this work, then starts the independent clause. No one should treat the training lightly. Okay, verb, subject. Number 12. I hope you're following. Okay, please increase your patience because after this, you'll have surpassed the hurdle of determining the dependent and independent thought. By becoming good in English communication, yan na. Okay? Up to where? Up to here. Notice the dot there. Okay. So this is the dependent clause. This is the independent clause. Up to this. Okay, that is the independent clause. The students are required to do constant practice in all 4 areas such as listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Another adverbial opener, because no one should be complacent while in training. Okay, up to where? Yeah, you have the dot there. So this one is your dependent clause. This is your independent clause. The policies are strict and disciplines are important, imposed, unbiased. So you have the verb, phrase, and then you have the policies are here strict and disciplines are imposed and biased. So you have two or compound independent clauses. Compound, dalawa. Why dalawa? This is one. The policies are strict. You have the verb and the subject. Here you have the verb and the subject. Okay, connected with an and. So you have 2 independent clauses. Right, number 14. Although the J. Palma Professional Institute is nice to everyone. Up to where? Very good. Up to here. You notice the noun or pronoun. Okay, so this is your dependent clause. This is your independent clause. All right. And 15. In order that your time will not be in vain, okay, up to here, is your dependent clause. You better be serious and work hard with your studies. This one is your independent clause. Number 16, welcoming new talent into our business is a way of supporting continued development because this is necessary. Okay? Welcoming new talent into our business is a way of supporting continued development because this is necessary. So this is your what? Dependent thought or dependent clause. This is your independent clause. Reverse siya, baliktad siya. Independent clause. Welcoming is actually your subject. Right? Verb is. 17. The health and safety of our people in this business are paramount through, although there are other benefits we give. See this one? That is your dependent clause. This one is your independent clause with the health and safety of our people in this business. You have the verb. Okay? Your subject, compound subject, health, safety. Okay? Are. So notice the are there, meaning the subject must be plural. Health, safety. We call this subject verb agreement. You have a plural verb, you must have a plural subject. Right? Okay. And then followed by a dependent clause, meaning providing additional thought. 18. Over 200 years now, we have managed to consistently change to sustain our growth through the practice of open-mindedness. Okay? Over 200 years now. This one. Okay? This one is our independent clause. This is the dependent clause. Notice here, so let me clarify this. Over 200 years now, this is your independent clause. Okay? We, the subject, have managed the verb to consistently change, okay, to sustain our growth. Hanggang dyan. Okay? And then through the practice of open-mindedness. Nagdagdag lang naman siya. Pwede rin nating sabihin ito ay another dependent clause. At ang independent clause ay nasa gitna. The independent clause is in the middle. After the over 200 years now as a dependent clause, followed by we have managed to consistently change to sustain our growth. You can cut it here because another through the practice of open-mindedness coming of the dependent clause. So you have two dependent clauses here in the middle of the independent clause. 19. Our business across the global market is built on our reputation. Up to here. Okay? Is your what? Independent clause. This is the dependent, so that we remind ourselves of who we are. This is the independent clause. So it is not opened with an adverbial form of a word. So obviously your guess is as good as mine. If your guess is going to be as good as mine if you see these openers like this: adverbial, connectors, adverbial, pero ayan, prepositional. Alright? Pero pagka ang opener ay nasa noun at article, tendency is, it's sure that the sentence is opening with an independent thought, and the dependent thought will just come afterwards. Say, for example, this one, the last one. These golden written values are in the right direction. So this is the demonstrative. Okay? Kasama yan sa pag ganyan ang opener ay nasa normal opening sentence tayo. We are in the normal sentence opening. Okay, and here up to here, okay, is your independent clause. Complete ang thought niya. The incomplete thought is here. Though we are constantly pressed and challenged by side. Kasi hahanapan mo ng reason or additional information yung salitang though. Okay? So this is the dependent clause. Alright. So that's it. Tingnan nyo mabuti ang ating ginawa. Look at very carefully what we did. Alright? So I hope that you review this video and be able to understand those things that we have practiced to develop your familiarity with what dependent clause is all about and independent clause is all about. All right? Thank you very much.